2 of those in the works. We have 2 non-compliance issue, one's an ongoing fence issue. The one is a new accessory building that needs a building permit. It also did not meet the setback requirements, so the building inspector did a stop order on that, so they're working through that. Bill and I have also done numerous site surveys for garage additions, accessory building placement, so we've been busy with that. And we have the possibility of 2 variances coming up for associated, for various reasons, so busy. And 3 more emails today to do site surveys, so.
Can I ask you a question on a couple, just in general, but I know one's a kind of a sore spot. We talked about the fence, but
Yep.
does the city of Crooks have anything that's referred to as a grandfather
Negative.
rule? I had that thrown at me.
Yep, and I heard about that too. That dealt with another additional fence issue. So that property owner, so that's where the garage addition, come to find out the fence, one neighbor's fence was 3 feet onto the other neighbor's property. That's my understanding is he had asked, maybe not asked, said, he stated he was grandfathered in. Non-compliance is non-compliance, it doesn't matter, you know, and it was verified by 2 different surveyors. Both neighbors had the surveyor come out, do the locates on the pins, verified that it was not compliant. So, you know, something like that, we don't get into the litigation piece, we don't find property pins as a city. So now that they know that there is an issue with a setback issue with the fence and the setback, then that's between those 2 neighbors.
Okay.
So we're not gonna muddle into that. I can tell you the other 2 issues with the size of the garage and the 7-foot setback. The homeowner that put the new garage on, he's in compliance with everything. Bill and I spoke on it.
I just want to make those
Yep.
2 things clear at the meeting,
Yeah.
because I'm getting tech emails, and
Yeah.
so I just want it brought up, there's not a grandfather
No.
rule or clause.
And only for the fact we do allow, so what we tell the neighbors, when you put a fence in, make sure you do your locate, and we just come out, we don't verify the locate. We just make sure that the fence meets the requirement for height. And then if the neighbors have to get into litigation replacement, that's on them.
That's between them, and the garage is within,
The garage is 60 square feet less than the footprint of the residence.
okay.
So that's in compliance. The only thing, we do have a change, and I was on the board, it was many, many years ago when we drafted the new ordinance for accessory buildings. There should have been a statement that should have gotten struck in there for the height requirement. Right now it says 15 feet. That is going to get struck. I'm going to amend that. That should have been taken out of the first one. It did not get taken out. It was an oversight. So that was one of the other concerns, is that the garage was taller than 15 feet. What's that?
Garage roof pitch?
It's going to.
No, that was struck years ago.
It still is in there. So,
All we have not lowered it.
double check it, because when I look at the standalone accessory building, is it 190 for accessory buildings?
195.
195?
We're done for accessory buildings right there.
Accessory
Oh, okay.
buildings. So we have to look at that. We will amend that, and that will have to go through the whole process, but that was an oversight that got approved that shouldn't have many, many years ago, because for all intents and purposes, most houses that get built now, they're over 15 feet tall, so that was never meant to be.
And as long as Jesse Funkert is here, and I just want to say thanks for having that meeting with Banworth, because we're all on the same page now, and Scott got it all straightened out, and he was right on with everything, but there was just some misinformation going on, so we're all on the same page. I'll just say it's an example, and you brought up the community access grant, and they're for extending Main Street or going out to industrial, commercial. So just like the school is, we applied for the community access grant, we could do one there, then the property owners would have to pay the difference, so that still wouldn't be a cost to the city, just like we're doing with the school. Another thing we could do though is this 5-year, if we want to look at it, to help out. From my side, if you look at other towns, we run pretty low on people. I mean, Ginny wears 4 or 5 hats, gets paid for one. Tobias is doing at least 3 people's work. I mean, we got Jason and me, but we're pretty trim here in Crooks. But the problem we have, we don't have commercial property tax. If we put up a $300,000 commercial building, we get $4,500 a year approximately back every year. If we put up a $300,000 house, we get about $875 a year. So there's a big difference. So we need some sort of commercial property tax to help us. And everybody, I'm just gonna give everybody that works for the city a big pat on the back, because we're covering a lot of bases, and other towns would have more people. We can't. We just don't have the tax base coming in yet. So,
I can piggyback on that, just one thing too, because something that you guys need to think about, like I said, I did talk to the city attorney about the logistics and then it's in codified law, how it all works out, and I've gotten a little more educated on it myself. But it is it's a viable solution to put that infrastructure in, and you can stretch it out 10, 20 years and do the special tax assessment. But something that this board needs to think about is that the city has to carry that load with the bond initially for that cost. But if we want commercial, I mean, that infrastructure is going to be very expensive. But if we want commercial, and it's not a big development, it's not a terribly long road, but we do need to hold our contractors accountable and those who develop plan. So we need the infrastructure in there, but we also need to understand that in order to have responsible growth, there are some avenues that we can take, but it will be an initial cost to the city. So as you talk budget, remember that's coming. So we need to continue to keep that road in mind.
and just for a round number, this was about $575,000 for 500, a little over 500 feet of road. That's about 550 or 600 feet of road, and probably a little more expensive because of the railroad track. So in the end, the access grant covers about 55%. It says it covers 80, but it excludes engineering and utilities. So if you look at it as a whole, it covers about 55%. So that's still out of pocket, either for the city, if, like you said, if we charge them over 10 years, or somebody's got to pay for it. So anyway, that's where if we can work with a developer, they use their money and we give them. Anyway, enough of that. Anything else, Scott?
No, good, thank you.
Government buildings report. Alan?
Okay, we started, Toby and I have had a meeting with people that are doing the website, so that's starting to look good. We've got the initial design done, and they've done a mock-up and look at it, and we're going through that and deciding what we need and what we don't need. And then on the shop expansion, I'll let Toby explain where we're at with the financing of that.
You want to explain that exciting financing stuff?
Yeah.
Shop expansion, I reached out to the USDA. They can offer us a 30-year term on the shop expansion at 2.15%. Interest rate, which doesn't get much lower. Interest rate is good until September 30th. The reason I bring it up is rather than do some moving of money from funds, this would just be a very cost-effective option for us to just keep it clean, expense it out of the general fund, and then just move ahead. USDA, as always, we can repay early. We can make larger payments. It is the only thing we have to do is if we want to go that route, We need to at least get a good initial number done. We need to have a motion to intend to apply for funding and then pass a resolution, and then figure out when you want to bid let for the project. Those are really the important steps. We didn't order any work done just because until we have figured out which way you guys would like to go, there's no point in us ordering anything. But I've talked to the architect for writing up a bid booklet. That'd be $1,500. Drawing a small plat would be, and some really minor engineering stuff would be $25, so we're four grand there. Then the building, the estimates we got were $135,000, well, $132,000, but let's say we go for $140,000. And then depending on what the estimates come in, if you shoot high, let's say $200,000, you can, whatever comes in at, the USDA will not hold you to the amount you applied for. They will only issue funds for the amount needed, so you wouldn't be stuck with trying to figure out how to do additional funding or figure out that. So if you guys would like to look at more other providers of financing, I can. However, the options will be very limited. We've had, the Crooks Community Center was funded through the USDA, our payloader was funded, they're fairly easy to work with, and they issue the funds fairly quickly. So right now, the biggest questions for you guys is when you want to bid let, and when you want to really start getting the ball rolling on this project.
We originally thought we were gonna take this out of sewer and gas, but we have to update meters.
Yeah, that'd be,
So instead of moving money around, we thought this would be, I agree with you that this would be the best option.
I do too. I like the financing options through USDA. I like the fact that they're, you can prepay early if you want, if bigger payments they want, and they only finance what you actually request. It's not like a grant or like a loan where you're asked for $200,000, you end up only needing $135, whatever it is. You finance exactly what you need. I think it makes sense. I think for the city, it's our responsibility. I don't like when we just use our enterprise fund because that's where the cash is sitting right now. I think we need to be a little bit more responsible with that. And I know that there's some, Jamie's gonna talk about it, but I know there's some meter needs that make more sense to use the funds that it doesn't need it for that. And finance, I don't think we're gonna get it better than 2.15. Finance through that USDA and just do it. I think it's just a better, smart option.
in case you really want to go big, there's no max loan amount you can apply for.
No, we'll
so
just stick
I'm-
with the shop. We'll stick with the shop.
I'm just saying, because I asked her that too.
Just a comparison, the Palmyra bathroom, I think, was $135,000 or $137,000. We're talking about the shop expansion, the cement, plumbing, there's no plumbing in it, we need bathrooms. Heat, I mean, this estimated was 125 to 130, so I thought, boy, that's pretty good deal, but we need the room. Mostly, we don't have facilities, we did rent a porta potty, but we have not that we're gonna add on to this building, but we really don't have an employee bathroom at this building. When there's a meeting going on in here, it's awful hard to leave that office and go to the bathroom. I mean, it may sound easy, but when there's stuff going on, anyways, we're working with that. But this shop, there's nothing there. In the wintertime, we give the guys a key now that we have a bathroom at Palmyra and say, use that. Otherwise, it was run to your house or go to Critters or go to, Anyway, it's, we really need it.
I would say it sounds like an immediate need, we
Yeah.
should move forward.
Yeah,
with
so I was
it.
gonna say, so the immediate need is really pass a motion to apply for funding.
Yeah, like to get the ball rolling so I can order the work tomorrow, get it done. I mean, the stars have aligned perfectly, because at this point, just tell us to go ahead and then we just need to do
So I'll
it.
make a motion to apply for USDA
Okay.
funding for shop.
Jana has a motion, is there?
Second.
Okay, well, we'll let Alan second it since he's
That's his baby.
government building.
It's your baby.
Any other discussion?
I have a little discussion, so I had been contacted by Chad wanting to know if there was any implications for planning and zoning, which probably shouldn't be a hiccup for what you guys are doing, but I requested a site plan just to make sure.
We're getting that to you. That's the first thing we're ordering tomorrow is the site plan.
Okay.
Because we need to look at that alley back there, because I
Yep.
don't know, because we used it, the alley, right, for access back there, will we need?
The alley is closed off. We actually don't use it.
Okay,
We
even
use
better.
up to it.
No, that's good, because we were looking at it, and I didn't know if we needed that for access, then we don't want to vacate it, right, because then we don't have access back there. So, we'll get the site plan on.
Bill and I would just hate to do a stop order.
The north door would become the west door on the north end, so it would
Okay.
face the side street, not the alley. Anyway, so that's our discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. And finance report, Jana.
Well, as you can see from the tables across the room and the calculators on the table, the 2019